Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my latest patron requested review. That's it, I have a Patreon page for those who don't know, and you can support me on that, and one of those perks, depending on which tier you go for, you can request a review, and one such person is Jordan Moran, and he has requested that I review the 2018 film The Standoff at Sparrow Creek, which is directed by Henry Dunham and stars James Badge Dale. So the film follows a team of militiamen who basically meet at a warehouse, and it's after the aftermath of a shooting. Basically at a police funeral, a bunch of cops were shot up and killed, and yeah, these guys will kind of be prime suspects because of the weapon that was used at the shooting. They've got a ton of these weapons in their warehouse. I don't quite understand the whole militia thing. I don't know how that works in America. Obviously, being from the UK, we don't have guns. You can't just buy them. I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of what is meant by a militia, but I assume it's not entirely illegal to form some kind of militia group, just as long as you don't act in some whatever. Like I say, I don't quite understand it, but either way, these guys are a militia group and they're now prime suspects. They gather together in this warehouse, and the main character, played by James Badge Dale, he was a former cop who joined this militia, and he was also a profiler. And what he's going to do throughout the rest of this film is profile the rest of the team and question them to try and find out who is the person who shot up this funeral. It could be any one of them, including himself. Who knows? We don't know until we get to the end. But that's the gist of the film. Now, it kind of has a bit of a Reservoir Dogs vibe about it. You know, very similar setup in which you're confined to this one location, which happens to be a warehouse, and it's a bunch of people who have very shady characters, to say the least. Maybe not quite to the criminal degree, at first at any rate, that we get with Reservoir Dogs, because we know they're a bunch of criminals, you know. So there's some shady types, and it all takes place in a warehouse. So it's getting to the root of things. So it does have that Reservoir Dogs kind of vibe about it. You also have an undercover cop thrown in the mix, which again calls back to Reservoir Dogs. It's not quite on the level of that film. I don't think that Dunham has quite the skills as a writer as Quentin Tarantino. But that being said, I do think he is an excellent writer, based on the strength of this. Now, this is his debut film. He made a short film before this, but this is his first feature film. And I gotta say that for a first feature, it is very assured. It is very confident. There is no music in this film, from what I remember, except for the end credits. All the film is just played out with the sound that obviously comes from the characters and their actions, what they're doing, sound effects, that kind of thing. But there's no music to tell you how to feel, which I always appreciate. I always love that in a film. I think that if you have a film with no music and yet it's still managing to get tension going, it's still managed to elicit certain emotions from you that it's trying to elicit, then that's, to me, a sign of a very gifted filmmaker. Because what a lot of people do, what a lot of filmmakers do, is they tell you how to feel by music. And if you took that music out, actually what you would be left with is a film that doesn't make you feel the way it does with the music. Very skilled, I think, as a director, especially, as I say, for a first film. I do think he has a strength with dialogue. So there's two interrogation scenes in particular in which Dale's character is questioning two separate guys, and I think those scenes are handled really well indeed from a dialogue perspective. I really believe the conversation is real, and I really believe that this guy's a profiler. The way he picks up on certain things, certain attributes of the characters he's questioning, the way he uses them against them and whatnot. the thing that doesn't quite work for me in the writing department is that I think maybe Dunham is trying to be more intelligent than what is required. There's certain elements that don't quite stack up for me, or that I feel like I've missed something, or don't quite get something. Maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to keep up with it. I don't know. It might change on a second watch. But there are certain times when I feel like there could have been a bit more explanation. Like two of the people in this. I'll go into spoilers here for the sake of anyone who doesn't want it ruining. You might want to. Yeah, go away now and come back later, I don't know, but from here on out, spoilers. So two people who get questioned, they both confess to the crime, despite the fact neither one of them is guilty. And it's like, do we... I don't feel like we're ever given a reason as to why they did that. And so I'm just left a bit confused. I'm left puzzled as to why these guys did it. And maybe they did explain it, but I just missed it. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that this is a bit of a mumblecore movie. You know, for anyone who isn't familiar with that term, it's it's usually refers to a style of art house film in which most of the characters kind of mumble what they say. A lot of dialogue is like kind of, you know, it's kind of like a naturalistic style of dialogue in which, you know, in real life people mumble, people say things quickly where you don't quite pick it up, and I feel like that kind of style is taken on here, and often to the film's detriment. I feel like there were times when I couldn't quite make out what people were saying, a bit too much mumbling going on, but yeah, as I say, for me, those elements feel a little bit too unexplained. Like I say, I may not have been paying as much attention as I should have. Those bits may have been explained, but on first viewing, I did leave it thinking, yeah, what? So yeah, like there's a twist in the end as well that again don't quite add up for me because I'm not entirely sure of the motive there. I guess what the film is trying to say is that the cops kind of figure that these guys are going to be a threat to national security at some point. They're going to do something at some point, so they're going to set them up and collar them for it before they get to that point. The only problem with that being that the shooting of the police funeral turns out to have been fake, or it's never explained to what degree it's faked. So like, did people die? Did people not die? And if so, how are they gonna spin that in the media? That's what I mean. I'm left with a lot of questions by the end, just with regards to the intricacies of the plotting, and I feel like maybe, given this film's running time, because it is a very short film, it's like 88 minutes, 85 minutes in the UK version for some reason, I don't know. But I feel like maybe give us a bit more running time and use it to explain some of those things a bit better. But beyond that, some really great performances. Well, everyone in this, there's no one who stands out as a bad performer. They all really get into the characters very well. I think there's a nice selection of characters across the board, and I have fun with them. I have fun seeing where they go, who's going to be the villains, who's going to be the good guys. Like I say, it's one of those films where you don't really know until you get to the end. And I do like the cinematography. Again, very confident use of camera movement from Dunham. Like I say, this being his first film, he guides the camera. He moves it at times with precision. A very kind of, very, very precise movements. If he wants you to see something, he'll move the camera in a very particular way that makes you focus in on that thing. Like I say, just as a director, I think he is one to watch. Again, coming out of right off the bat with a film like this, showing this much confidence, I think, this is a guy who, down the line, he starts getting bigger budgets, starts being given a bit more creative freedom. I think we could see something quite special from him. James Badge Dale is an actor that I've liked for quite a while. He does have a bit of a TV face. He doesn't look like a movie star to me. He looks more like a TV actor, but he's got a certain sense of charisma about him, a certain likable personality as the tough guy kind of role, and he wears that well here as well. So I really liked this film. Thank you, Jordan, for suggesting it. It was definitely a good suggestion. It is up my street. I do think that if Dunham could have just worked out a few of those kinks, just ironed them out a bit, then this would be a very, very good film. As it stands, it is a bit flawed, but still highly enjoyable, and definitely one that I would recommend. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Like I say, that might improve on a second viewing because, as I say, it could be that I missed some things which often happens. I've done that before. You know, I've watched films and completely missed lines of dialogue that are very crucial, and then suddenly gaping holes, or what I thought were gaping holes, become quite clear. So that might happen, but yeah, on this viewing, I'll give it a 3.5. Does seem a bit flawed to me, but very well shot, very well acted, and in certain places, brilliantly scripted. Like I say, yeah, that's it really. Like I say, thank you, Jordan, for being a patron. Thank you for your constant support on there. And thank you for this choice of film. I enjoyed watching it. Anyone out there who has seen this film, I would like to know what you thought about it, and I'm sure Jordan would too. So please do leave your comments down below. Also, don't forget to head on over to my Patreon page just to check out what's on offer there and what you can be a part of. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.